I'm Clive Roberts, chairman of the West Wales Rivers Trust, which is a small charity with a big area. The charity covers Carmarthenshire, Pembrokeshire, and Ceredigion. We've got about 20 rivers that we're particularly interested in, although we're interested in all rivers, but there are 20, and the main three being the Towie, the Teivi, and the Cleddau system. We're a small charity at the moment. We've got about 3 employees, and most of our funding comes from NRW and Dŵr Cymru, and we have other people who sponsor the trust. And at the function of the trust is the restoration of the rivers in West Wales. The bulk of the work historically has been on the Towie and the Teivi because they're the high profile rivers, and there's stakeholders, angling clubs. They're also SAC, they're SSSI. So the sort of, they've been the priority rivers. But the intention now is, and there's been the intention this year, is to expand to all the other rivers. And recently we conducted a river survey of North Ceredigion, the Rheidol, the Ystwyth, the Iron, a couple of smaller streams. And this year we'll finish off some other streams, the Upper Teivi, the Lucca, Tave system. And once we've got those systems, once we've done the reports on those, we'll draw up plans and ideas for how we can improve those rivers. So principally we're a restoration charity, but obviously with the problems on the rivers at the moment aren't all habitat. A lot of them are, there are pollution problems, there's netting problems, there's problems potentially with fish eating birds. So we have to do a little bit of lobbying. A lot of the lobbying is done by the mothership, which is Afonydd Cymru, which oversees all the rivers trusts. They do most of the lobbying with government, NRW, but at local level we're starting to increase our activity. I'm going down to represent the village of St Clair's, who are concerned about the pollution in their river. We're doing some work on the Teivi, the Ystwyth, where there are pollution incidents. Well, we'll work with NRW, work with Dŵr Cymru to try and find solutions and improve them. Because there's no point in us restoring rivers if the waters are still polluted. It's a bit disheartening. And we're also keen that the netting be conducted in a responsible way. We're not calling for complete closure of all the netting, because we understand it's got heritage value and the people have been doing it all their lives. But we need to make sure that's monitored, so that fish that do spawn in the rivers successfully, where we've improved them, have a chance of getting back to spawn themselves. At the moment, we're conducting an awful lot of projects. We've got significant funding from NRW this year, and we're in the middle of some quite decent projects on the Towie and the Teivi, and one big project on the Cleddau. We're removing a weir that's been there for years and has been a big hindrance to fish. And I think most of the work we do we're also one of the principal areas we seem to be concentrating more and more in, and there is data suggesting this, is that fencing along the rivers to keep cattle out of the water, creating habitat, which tends to seed naturally, but we might help it along with some planting. That seems to be producing good results in multiples of fish that are seen in the locations once we've restored them. We've done some gravel cleaning on the Cleddau, and hopefully with some support from Dŵr Cymru we'll be doing more of that over the next few years, where the gravels have been compacted. We can stir them up a little bit and make it easier for fish to spawn. So we did a very successful prototype of that on the Cleddau, and we're going to expand that. That's an area I'm pretty excited about. But one thing that's been really successful, and we're hoping we get funding again from NRW and Dŵr Cymru, is our Adopt a Tributary project, where we form local groups to adopt their tributary. So it can be the school, it can be the community, it can be the angling club, it can be anyone. We'll advise them on how the tributary should be. If there's any heavy work, we'll get contractors in to do it. If there's a complete blockage. And then we hope the local community will then monitor that stream. They can remove plastics, invasive species. They can let us know if there's a big blockage, if there's a pollution incident. They can work with the local farmers and all that, just to keep the stream as healthy as possible. And we've been doing that on the Towie now for about a year, and we've got about 6, 7, maybe 8 groups. on different systems. We've been approached by other rivers now independently, have asked us to go and help them set up groups on their systems, community groups. So I think that's an area that will grow fast because, there are less and less people fishing, there are less and less people on the rivers, and the best, these rivers have to be monitored, with the pressures that are coming from us as citizens. And it's better if they're done by the communities that involved. And I think NRW particularly are aware that they can't monitor all the rivers, and they'd rather we and the communities took more responsibility for that. So that's going really well. And we run a big project up in Randamoyne on the Doethia, where we're liming to offset some of the acidification from the forestry up there. We're working with NRW again there to try and work to keep perhaps some of the forestry further back from the streams to reduce acidification. But while that discussion's ongoing, we're liming to offset it, and that's been successful. The Doethia, I think, was the most successful spawning stream in Wales. Well, it was the only one with a growth in spawning, because most of them run sadly in decline. And there's no doubt that's because we've limed it and the stream is protected, and it's also in a bit of wilderness, so it doesn't succumb to a lot of other pressures. So generally, that's where we are. We're a small group. We use a lot of contractors to do the work. We tend to use local ones, and we're trying to become a bit more of a sort of, as I say, we don't want to be Towie and Tybee centred. We want to do all the streams of our catchment, but we'll need a lot of funding, a lot of volunteers, but the enthusiasm at our level is there.